so many pivots or relaunches, either way, have come because what I thought was going to happen didn't happen, or something outside of my control was going on. So you have to look and go, well, what can I control? What can I change here? And change really is the definition of both of those things in so many ways.
Welcome to the Relaunch Podcast. And when I meet another like soul sister that truly is impacting the world, and there are many relaunches out there, everyone. You have heard me say, relaunch your life, relaunch love, relaunch relationships. How about relaunch fashion? And how that will impact you. Well, today I have the queen of the pivot herself. Steph Clymer is known for trusting her gut and seeing the next shift that will create momentum and guarantee growth. Ready for the best news? She cultivated this skill in her late 30s, proving that it's never too late to create your own pivot. It was through a deep dive into her own, have we not all had this stuck in a rut attitude and commitment to finally living life to her full potential that left Steph with a fresh mindset, unwavering confidence, and that faith to move forward when the deck seems stacked against her. Oh, you can now know why I am so excited about this. Stephani is certain it is her ability to quietly observe, trust her instincts, that intuition, and do the work that has created her success. Let me rephrase that right there. Do the work. It's so important. And sometimes we don't really want to do it. We're going to go there. With growing retail businesses that are well recognized for community involvement and unmatched culture, plus an online presence that's taking her brands global and into the multiple seven figures, Steph is committed to changing the landscape of women doing business, how we support each other, and how we show up for ourselves. Steph, welcome. So excited to have you on today's show.
Your energy is just, whew, I love it. It's amazing. I feel it. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Well, here's something really funny. You and I are even connected more than you would know, because there have been many conversations where I have been called the queen of the relaunch.
Yes.
And what is super interesting about that is that initially I took it like a badge of honor. Hey, that's awesome. And then I realized that I was basically setting myself up for more relaunches, more transitions, more of those things, that my thoughts were creating my outcomes. So I felt like the relaunches were coming. Pivots are different than relaunches. Okay. So queen of the pivot, moving. But I got to ask you, have you felt like you've had to keep pivoting because your title said queen of the pivots? I'm just fascinated.
Yes.
Isn't this?
Yes, actually, as you're saying, yes. And this is sort of like, whoa, Steph, what came first?
It's insane, right? Like, I decided to literally say, I'm not going to own queen of the relaunch, because I'm up to my ears in relaunches right now. I'm going through a massive relaunch that started about a month ago. And I'm like, mercy, I'm please, I'm throwing my arms up. So with that, I want to lead into your most significant relaunch and how you had to pivot and what that really means to you. And I'd love to understand how you feel about relaunches being those transitions, those things that happen in your business, in your life, in your relationships, and how that impacted the world of fashion and you. So I'd love to hear your relaunch story of how and why it really took you to where you are today.
Okay, so my first one, before I ever knew I had the ability to relaunch or the ability to pivot, before I knew that we could just create this change and go for it, was I began my business in 2006 as a maternity boutique. I wasn't married. I wasn't having babies. This was a business decision. I thought a great name where everybody knew who I was would be brilliant. So I named it Expecting. And, as things happen, as fashion comes and goes, the styles were flowy. So suddenly we were carrying non-maternity brands, but they worked for bellies. Then our clients were coming back to us post-pregnancy. And, you just you follow what the people want. And a decade in, I'm like, wow, we are 75% non-maternity, not pregnant women. And it's not attracting new people. It's called Expecting. And I kept saying, I've got to rebrand.
I got to stop you right now. This is so fascinating. You were not pregnant. You didn't have children.
No.
Yet.
Imagine telling that to your boyfriend. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit my job and I've got a business loan and I'm starting a maternity boutique.
Okay. So Steph, I have to continue down this path. This is like, I love this. Why were you so interested in, and I love the name, by the way, Expecting. I love the name.
But until you don't, let me tell you, because that part comes later.
Interesting. And you know what? I just got off of a podcast with Seth Godin, who talks all about, your why, right? And why you're doing things. And what I'm hearing you say is there's this disconnect, right? Until you don't.
Yes.
So okay, what was it about? Actually, it was Simon Sinek who did the whole why thing. He was on my podcast too.
Yeah, wasn't Seth Godin Purple Cow?
Yes, Purple Cow.
He's all marketing.
He was marketing and remarkable. And then Simon Sinek was all about, find your why. And what I'm hearing, the disconnect, because here you're getting 70% plus, or did you say even 80% of people that weren't pregnant coming into your store. And
it didn't start like that, right? Like it went, I'm saying we're almost a decade in, because a decade in I rebranded. So 8-9 years before that happened. So I'm sorry, you had a question about that.
Well, I'm why in the world. Why did you choose pregnancy clothes?
I'll tell you.
Maternity. I was like, it's been a long time since I've worn those. Maternity clothes.
Yes, I'm in Newport Beach, California. This is 2006. There were boutiques everywhere. And I didn't like my job, and I'm writing a business plan because I'm like, I went and applied for all these other jobs. And at every interview, I thought, I'm going to leave a job I don't like for another job I don't like. And I don't want to do that. And so I decided I've always wanted to own a boutique. I'm going to own a boutique. I do say there's something to be said for too young and dumb to know it might not work. I mean, I was naive and I did not know what I didn't know. And that was the best gift in that moment, because I thought, why not? This is what I'll do. And as I was writing my business plan, I thought there is a boutique on every street that I looked at, every neighborhood I liked. And one of my best friends is 5 years older and she was pregnant with twins. And I went to visit her and she was in Dallas, Texas. And I was like, these clothes are awful. And I was like, there's pregnant women where I live and they look cute. Let me go find you some clothes. I'm going to send them to you because you can't wear these. And I was like, there's something in LA, there's something in Santa Barbara, there's something in San Diego, there's nothing in Newport Beach. And so I found my niche. And that was how I got in. And I wouldn't trade it. You don't know what you don't know, but it was how I got in. And, had I just waited till 2010, half the boutiques closed and I would have probably just started differently. But I think that everything happens how it's supposed to happen.
Oh, you know what? I believe that too. I really think that the fact that you had perseverance, the fact that you kept going, that tenacity led you to where you are. And every single one of the mini relaunches along the way gave you the ability. And I often say, what this podcast was originally called the Silver Lined Relaunch, because everything has a silver lining. But when you're going through it, it's sure hard to see, right?
So many of them have been hard to see. So many pivots or relaunches, either way, have come because what I thought was going to happen didn't happen, or something outside of my control was going on. So you have to look and go, well, what can I control? What can I change here? And change really is the definition of both of those things in so many ways. And so my first big change was 10 years in 2016, probably around 2014, I started saying, I think I need to rebrand. I called this Expecting. And I had so many women saying, my sister loves my clothes. My neighbor loves my clothes. But when I tell her where I get them, she's like, I'm not going in there. I don't want anybody to think I'm pregnant. And
Mm,
the clients who were coming to me came to me while they were pregnant and stayed, right? So the relationship was built. They felt a part of it. But to
yep.
get somebody new to walk in was really hard. Wow. Had I known what I knew once I rebranded, I would not have waited. It
So
immediately
interesting.
changed my business. I mean, it was immediate. I mean, so it goes back to Seth Godin. That's probably why you brought the right marketing.
Yeah, the marketing. It really
I
is.
mean,
It's
I
all
had the
about,
wrong name.
and it feels like the why also, your real connection, you started to really connect with this new audience, this new avatar.
It was just, you could, what I've learned now, our special sauce, our bread and butter is that community connection. You know, if you came in, we know your name, we know what you bought last week. If you're going to a concert with two best friends in the neighborhood, we know what they're wearing. Like that's our special sauce. And if I only get you for 6 months, there's no special sauce there for what we provide.
Totally. And how often are
Yeah.
people getting pregnant again, right? Maybe 2 years later
Yeah.
and they're pregnant and then they're only, they only need the clothes for, like you said, 6 months. So fascinating. And I think that when you're starting to talk about what happened next, I'd love to hear the growth of what it took to get to where you were when you had expecting. And then once you switched over, what happened with the revenue?
It doubled. And let me tell you, for a decade, I did not make $1 million in sales for a decade. And then I rebranded and immediately, I mean, it was unbelievable to me. It was so much more than I projected. And I think that the brilliant part of that when we're talking pivots, relaunches, either way is it was my first huge pivot and it went well. And it made me go for 2 years. You listen to everybody tell you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. The night I decided I would change the name, I was driving home. I reached out to 3 different marketing companies, branding companies, and I didn't tell anybody. I don't even think I told my husband. I thought, I am done. I don't want an opinion. I don't care what their opinion is. I know it. I know it in my gut. And
Ah,
it worked out. And you know what relaunches do, as you know, is they create confidence because you come out the other side knowing what you're capable of. And that's everything.
so let's talk about this idea of intuitively. You
Mm.
knew, don't talk to anyone about this. Just do it, right? I call it your wise woman. And it's all part of the
Yes.
3HQ, which is the
Yes.
headquarters of you, your head, your heart, and your highest self, that best version of you. When you're operating and you're actually not only hearing the wise woman inside of you, but you're listening to it, you're acting on it. And when you went to those PR firms, you were acting on it,
Yes.
right?
I can't even remember the detail. I was just acting. I knew that I was taking action. Yes. Exactly like you're saying. I can remember the night. I can remember the drive home. You know, there's just moments in your life. I can remember it.
Absolutely. So then, as we're talking about this, because there are women right now out there that are thinking about potentially hearing what you're saying, relaunching aspects of their business. And I know I've had clients who have taken and gone from an online and then moving
Mm-hmm.
into brick and mortar. I've had people go brick and mortar and move online. What were some of the main standouts that allowed for revenue growth?
Well, I think if you're listening to your customer, they're telling you what they want. And are you delivering, right? They're telling us, I want to come back. I want my friends to come. I want to refer people to you. They're not. I want more of this. I want you to carry more of that. I mean, we've pivoted, we've relaunched multiple times since 2016. I'm in the middle of a massive one right now. And to your point, I didn't want this one. I didn't want it at all. But here we are because things out of our control were happening. But I really do think people are telling you what they want.
Okay, I need to
And
hear.
then,
What is it? I need to hear more about this relaunch that's going on right now. First off, what
oh,
was the impetus? What happened?
Well, I decided, so in 2020, I didn't
Mhm.
decide for it to happen in 2020. We doubled the size of our space. So what
Mhm.
happened after 2016 is I was like, I want more stores. I want to be in more communities. And I didn't have the footprint right. Now our revenues click in and we're 1,400 square feet and I need to be bigger. And so I couldn't own more stores until I had what I was doing right. That was how I
Mhm.
felt. Like, use this, get it right. You're in the right city, you're on the right street, people know about you. And I was on an end cap. So I only had one chance for somebody to move out and me to expand. And they were corporate owned. And again, everybody said to me, they're not leaving. You need to come up with another plan. And I wrote it down every day for a year. It was one of my 10 things. I like to write 10 things every day because I do really believe in our reticular activating system. And that if you're writing it, then when the opportunity comes, you'll see it. Like you said, we have to do the work, but we have to see the opportunities as well. And I called the landlord. I found out when their lease was up and said if they don't want to renew, I would like, to know about this. I would love to, be the first to negotiate. And one day they put a note on their door. It was about a year later. It was July 2019. And they said they were closing. I called the landlord. Why didn't you tell me? They were like, we don't know. They didn't tell us.
Okay,
So
this just gives me
the,
goosebumps because this is like
but
so good.
let me tell
You
you
wrote
my
this
biggest lesson
down.
here. Yes. And let me tell you, my biggest lesson in writing it down is I don't think that I'm powerful enough to have this business decide to move. But what I do think is because I was writing it down, I knew I was doing more than just writing it. I was going to the landlord. What would my lease negotiation be? How much would this cost? Who would the architect be? Do I have to go to the city? Sitting down with my husband. Do we have this much money in savings? This is what I would need to take. This is how long to pay it back. I had two kids. No, I had all three of my kids at the time. This is how much time it will take away. I knew all the answers. I probably sounded insane. What are you planning for? It's not happening. And when it happened, let me tell you, it didn't go as planned. The building was in the middle of a sale. My rent didn't double, it tripled. The negotiation that was supposed to be quick enough to have me open for the holidays instead had me doing construction over the holidays. If I hadn't been so committed, I would have maybe said it's not meant to be. So I think there's so many reasons we write it down and believe it. Yes, we're manifesting, but manifesting is so much more than like just that word, don't you think? It's not just like dreaming it and it happens. You're preparing and you're finding the opportunities so that when it's a little harder, it's like, how bad did you want it?
Hey, I have had the craziest manifestation stories ever.
I
And
bet.
it's interesting. I mentioned, I just had Simon Sinek and Seth Godin on,
Yes.
and manifesting that, like these are people I want on the podcast. And here's what you said that I think is so, I need to repeat it, is that it's also looking at everything that could happen, needs to happen, how I'm going to make it work. That's what you did. It takes the secret, it takes the law of attraction out of just this, ethereal type of, oh, think it and it will happen. It was like, think it, plan for it, keep thinking about it, keep adding to it. I love what you're saying. And I'm a huge believer. And I literally think, and I've seen it literally hundreds, thousands of times, people that have done this, I call it the tune in process.
Okay.
And if we have time, I'll take you through the tune in process. But it allows you to gain that clarity, see it, feel it, up level, vibrationally, understand what is involved from a neuroscience, and then things start to happen. And people are like, it's magic, it's crazy. It's not. But then what you
Mm-hmm.
also said was, it didn't, I wanted to be in by Christmas, but instead I was doing
Yeah.
construction. Things are happening and unraveling and unfolding for you as they're supposed to. We think, okay, it's not happening in the exact same time that we thought it should. So then it must not be working. But yet, you now have been in the store, and I know that you have opened up another. And talk to us about once you open the doors, what happened?
In the one that doubled or the new one, because that's the pivot I'm in the middle of. So the one
Yep.
I opened in January 2020 of
Uh-huh.
all times, right? I didn't have a crystal ball. And again, sales went bonkers. Then we closed the doors in March. Doubling in size was the best thing that happened to me. It immediately turned into a warehouse. We had an insane online presence, like this community. We just right away, we pivoted again, right? Whoever needed to stay home with their kids stayed home. The few of us who could come in, we came in. We started showing up live on Instagram. It wasn't even a thought. It was like, everybody wants sweats. We're going to have the best sweats that there ever were. Nobody can get out and build an Easter basket. Suddenly we build this Easter basket. It's like, you're relaunching so fast. You're almost not even thinking about what you're doing. You're surviving. And then you look back and go, oh my gosh, that was our best month ever. We weren't even open for business. So then you open back up for business, and now it was the gift of e-com. Now we have an e-com business where before it was teeny tiny. Now we have a warehouse. Now there's supply chain issues, but we can store stuff in our warehouse. And you're not kidding. It happens how it's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
And it did. And so then I thought, okay, we're ready. We're ready for our next store. And in 2022, we signed a lease for it to open in summer of 2023. And we are hopeful that it will open this summer in 2024. It is a giant new build, and it is severely delayed, so much so that last year I was like, well, one of the girls who works for me, she started at 18. And so she's known me when we've grown up together. And she looked at me and said, find something. And I said, I have been looking for a temporary space. There's nothing. And she said, you always find something. Find something.
Yeah.
Figure it out. I know you can. I know it was like this pep talk I needed. We're out on a walk together. And so I did. And so we're in a temp space in Fashion Island, which is a really well-known mall here. And it's a wonderful opportunity, but it's not where we wanted to be. It's not where we're going to end up, but it's getting us. That's like one of those right? That's like one of those mini pivots. It's a little pit stop to get you to where you want to be, because for some reason it didn't go exactly like I envisioned it. And I know there's a reason. And I just sometimes in these things, I think, I hope I get to know the reason. Sometimes the reason's super clear, and other times we go, maybe it was that. I don't know why. I don't know why it happened that way. So that's where we're at. Ooh, I lost you. Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can. Yes.
So here's what I want to say. What's so cool about where you are. So I'm going to be in Newport for the week of 4th of July. And I
Okay.
am going to come and see you in person. I'm going to bring my daughters. I'm going to bring, we're going to come. We're going to come and see you. And this is so awesome. But I want to talk to you about something. In our process of relaunch, we often say relaunch and rebrand. It's one of our big relaunch effect steps. And for some, as we get into midlife, whether it's 35 until you're older, whatever it is, we have sometimes that thought of, is this really me now? Right? I've always dressed this way. These are the clothes I have in my closet. I'd like to ask your opinion on if somebody looks in their closet and that old comment of, I have nothing to wear. Right?
Yes.
What do you say to them? I love that you said during COVID you had that, like, people are in sweats, we're going to deliver sweats.
Yeah.
So how do you help with the whole idea? Because a lot of times people do need that relaunch of just, hey, this isn't my style anymore. I need to try something new, but not spend a lot of money on, is this really my style?
Yeah. And I do think we have to be careful. At a certain age, we know what makes us feel good. I talk a lot about how does that make you feel. I'll give an example. Denim trends, they're changing all the time. And a woman will come in and go, I just don't feel good in these wide leg jeans. So we'll baby step her, but I can tell by her face. And I don't spend as much time in the stores anymore, but the women who work for me are so amazing. Yeah. How does it make you feel? And when you say you have nothing in your closet, sometimes we'll ask just basics. Do you have a good white t-shirt? Do you have a good denim jacket? Do you have this or that? Okay, well, what if you put that with this? Or they're picking out a skirt, and we'll ask questions of what we would put it with. Do you have this, this, or this? 90% of the time they do. Yeah. Oh, I never thought of that. I didn't know I could. We even have something now where we go locally into people's homes and into their closets and help them figure out what they need, because honestly, often it's just a few pieces. We do have to let go of some things. And again, because so many women who shop with me are right in my phase of life, they've had kids, they've hit the 40s. I think sometimes we just have to let go of, not only are we not that size anymore, but even if we were, that's not in style. So sometimes we just have to let it go, give ourselves grace, and then go, what's going to make me feel good? And sometimes it's what's on trend, sometimes it's not. And sometimes we have to go, oh, I really love my best friend and she looks so good in shorts. I don't feel good in shorts. So I shouldn't really go buy 10 pair, maybe one for a vacation, but like, let's really think it through. So I don't believe in pressuring women, if it could be the biggest must have this season. If she doesn't feel good in it, she shouldn't get it.
So let me ask you, color. We often hear about in fashion, and there's seasons and things like that.
There are, and there's always a color of the season.
There really is. And I got to tell you, the chartreuse color, it just does not work. And so every time I see that one coming around again, I'm like, oh God, here we go. Or even like there's this lime green color. I'm like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
So what do you say about, this idea around colors and what people should wear and what they shouldn't?
I think we have to focus more on what colors we can wear. I mean, it could be the color of the season. I remember when it was purple and I was like, I hate purple. And we had purple things and they looked great on women, but I hated purple. I never bought purple. It didn't really matter. I mean, if it's important to you, because I do have women who follow that and they get a little accessory or don't wear it near your face, you could do, depending on your style, it could be a headband, it could be a handbag, it could be something on a shoe. It doesn't need to be all over. I mean, right now what's in is monochromatic and very neutrals and nudes. And I mean, some of us have to be careful wearing that head to toe or which shade of it, because we can look, you're like me, we're kind of light skinned. We can look really pale and it might not be flattering. So again, I mean, it can be really fun to know what's on trend and in style. I think this is where, if you can go into a store and find somebody you trust, it's everything. If the salesperson says everything that you put on looks good on you, it's kind of a red flag, because none of us look good in every single thing. Or if she's not willing to tell you, if you say, okay, fine, but I can get one, or you have two dresses, one's cream, one's white, they're almost the same. She's like, they're both great. I mean, let's be real. You don't need both. So which is better? Finding somebody like that, and just saying, I really value honesty, and don't be scared. I always tell people, don't be scared to say, oh, I won't spend that on a dress. My comfortable budget is this. I think we get, nervous, or we feel like we're not supposed to say that. Again, if you're in the right place, they'll be like, thank you for telling me. I'm not going to show that to you then.
So I want to ask you, so this is all so important. And I do think that clothes really can energetically, vibrationally make us feel better. Why?
I have a good story about that. You want a good story about that?
Why do people always keep these clothes that they really don't like in their closet? And I need to know.
Oh, a lot of time that's attached to memories. My good story, well, I guess it could be about that, because she'll probably keep this dress forever. But I do think it can make us feel a certain way and be attached to memories. And when I'm helping someone clean out their closet, if they say something to me, like I brought my first baby home in that, I'm like, let's fold it up and keep it. I've had like prom dresses they don't want to get rid of because their mom bought it for them and they lost it. Let's keep it. That's special. That's a memory. Whether you put it in a box to show your daughter one day, or you just like need a minute with it once a year, I think that's special. But sometimes we're just like attached to the stuff, and that's a different question. And I'm not always qualified to help with that situation, because sometimes we're attached to stuff for a deeper meaning that I can't push you. That's something that somebody has to go work on. But if it's not a deeper issue, we have to figure out. But some memories are worth keeping. They really are.
And I love what you just said. Put it in a box.
Just
don't keep it in your closet. That's what I finally did. And what I love to do with women when they're like, Hilary, I just feel like it's time to change my style. I'm more into these clothes now, more carefree or more elegant or more classic or, bohemian or whatever. I'll say, all right, do this. Go into your closet, pick your top 3 outfits that if that is all you could ever wear again, you rock it, you feel it, you love it, and then take a picture of yourself in those. And I'm like, okay, Now, here we've got something to start with because you love these. These are what makes you feel. I
Yes.
get color, I get style, I get like a
Yes.
really good print, right? But I'd like to ask you, you go in and help somebody with their closet. Do you Marie Kondo it? Do you say everything out, we'll put everything back in that we like, or do you have a different process?
No, we kind of go, it depends on their closet and how it's organized. And honestly, when we go in and help, it's typically like, what's our goal here? Are we creating a capsule wardrobe? Are you going to Europe and you need something? So it really does depend case
Okay,
by case by
people might
case.
not know what a capsule wardrobe is.
Oh, a
Tell us
capsule
more about
wardrobe is where you want, like, we create one for each season for our clients. We'll take 10 items and we'll show you how to wear just those 10 items to make 30 different outfits. So that's for a woman who just doesn't want to do all the thinking and she wants those in there and she wants photos and she wants to be really streamlined and efficient. What I find is a lot of women think we want that or we want that plus, 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 because that does get really limited, but it's awesome if you're going on a European vacation.
Heck yeah.
Or if you are like, I truly hate everything, I have to start from scratch. Well, you can't start from scratch and build a whole closet, most of us. That's a huge investment. But okay, let's start with these 10 pieces for this season. And let's go really classic. And then let's add from there. You know, it's a really good base. It's a really good place to start. So a capsule is just efficiency.
I love
But my
that.
good story is about clothes making you feel a certain way, because I do think people think it's just clothes. But you know what? I am convinced, like, how a woman presents herself on a date with her husband 6 weeks after she's had a baby in an outfit that she feels good and that fits is different than if she didn't go treat herself. And at an interview where she stands up in front of the PTA or whatever it is. So I am like, we treat these women great. They walk out feeling great and then they go do great things. And my favorite example that I always remember is this woman came in shopping for her first date and she had gone through a really tough divorce and he had cheated on her and she just did not feel good about herself. And she was going on this first date and the women who work for me, I wasn't there. I have the best women who work for me. And we always say, if a woman walks in with like a 4 above her head, she better leave at a 6 or higher, right? And if it's an 8, she better leave at a 10. And I always joke, if she comes in at a 10, she better roller skate out of here. Like, we want, our goal is to make her feel better. Whether she's buying something, not buying something, she's supposed to feel better. And they said this woman, like, she just transformed. She found something she loved. And she got to the register and she was like, I can't do it. It was, you know, things financially were really unknown for her still. And so the girl who was the woman who was helping her in the store was like, no problem, good luck, gave her a hug. Our manager, I don't know if she'd been on break or working in the office, our manager came out and the woman working for me told her the story. And Elizabeth, my manager, said, that doesn't sit right with me. Who do we know who knows her? And they wrapped it up. And they realized her sister or somebody had referred her sister-in-law and they called her and said, can she come back? She left something here. And she did. And they gave it to her. And she came back 6 months later and they were in a very serious relationship and she talked about how good she felt. And it's like, do I know the dress didn't make it all, but it was one thing. She went on that date and she felt good. And like, we get to be part of her story forever.
That's very cool.
And it's so cool.
Really
and there's stories like that constantly. Great things that happen in life, hard things that happen in life.
Yeah.
What you wear can change how you feel. And then it can change how you show up for other people.
So I have a very funny story. Actually, it's not funny because it was one of those like, moments. So my husband decides to throw me a surprise party. And I had a dress that I had kept in my closet forever. It was a name brand. I bought it years before. It was expensive. I didn't want to give it away. Yeah. I hadn't worn it in a really long time. I put it on, and it was that night that I walked through the doors and everyone says, surprise. And I'm like, no. So I got to say, everyone, that go through your closet and think about if you were being given a surprise party, would you want to show up in that outfit? That is my litmus test now.
That is great. That's a lot of pressure for every outfit.
It is, because you don't know. If you're single, you don't know if this is the day you're going to meet your future husband. You don't know if this is like the outfit that's going to be photographed. You don't know, but you got to plan for, like, it's almost like setting your day up for massive success by putting it through this filter.
I love it.
It's so good. I literally do that now. So Okay, I want to take you through the tune in process because I'm
Okay.
really interested in what you're going to say about this. So, tune in is a 4-step process that I created. It's around, like we talked about, the 3HQ, the head, heart, highest self. But what I do is I ask you because I want to vibrationally up level you. And you said, in the beginning, the energy, right? This is something you can do anytime, anywhere. It takes 2 minutes or less. So I want to ask you because people are really genuinely interested in understanding what people are going through, right? What relaunches, what challenges, what intentions. So if I were to ask you, what is your biggest business challenge right now, what would you say?
The massive shift in the economy while trying to open a second store. It's finances. It's
Okay. That is, and I'm sure people are like the massive shift in the economy and trying to not just open a store, grow your business, scale your business in different areas, understand your product suite, all of that. Okay, beautiful. So when you think of a challenge, it's at a low vibrational level, right? You get worry, you get fear, you get, this idea of feeling a little stuck, a little like, where do I go from here? So that's step one. Step two is when you change your channel, when you up level your vibration to a higher level, which is where the success is, which is where you have solutions, which is where you can start to really think about your business at a different energetic level. So I do this with a power song. And a song that when you think about this song, you can't be low energy. It lights you up. So, what is the song, Steph? When you hear it, it lights you up.
Are you ready? It's like hard not to sing it. This girl is on fire.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. Now you, Kristen, who's our producer of this, she is right now singing it. She is loving you. Okay.
I'm a terrible singer, but whatever. I sing anyways.
One of my personal favorites too. So what I want you to do with this change your channel area is I'm going to have you think about the song. If you were by yourself in a room or at your stores, you could do this. I want you to think about it, put it in your mind, have it go from your head to your toes, move your body, change your state,
All right.
move
All
your
right.
body here, turn it up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing all this. You're moving your arms. I love it. All the way down. And you do it for 20 seconds because that's the neuroscience behind it.
Okay.
So keep moving.
Oh, then I love neuroscience stuff. All right. I'm still going while you talk. Just keep.
Well, you can do whatever you want. But
okay. I thought you were telling me to do it.
Step 3 is when you now create a mini movie in your mind. You're the star. And instead of that challenge, it's the opposite. You are inundated with clients. They all want what you have. The opposite of that, you tune into your song again. You are literally going through this. You're seeing, what color are you seeing right now in this mini movie in your mind as you're tuning into Girl on Fire?
Turquoise.
Okay. Are you wearing it or are you seeing it?
I'm seeing it.
Okay.
I'm seeing like light.
Light it up, 10x it, intensify it. So now you're hearing your song, you're seeing the color. How are you feeling? What emotion is going through? You got all these clients. You don't even have enough space in your store for all these clients.
I'm excited. Like my foot's like moving right now. Like it's like in your gut, like excited. That's wild. This works.
This is so good, right? And now what I want you to do is take an internal image of this. It's almost like you're taking a selfie. I want you to hold up your arm and close your eyes. And when I say click, you're going to open and close your eyes, taking an internal picture of you with the color, with the emotion. Ready?
I'm ready.
Click. Click. All right. You got a picture?
I got it.
Okay. You got this picture. Now we go into step 4, which is pop. It is the micro action. What can you do right now to move yourself one step closer to having an entire new people coming in, your people that have already been coming in, they're bringing people. What could you do to gain more people into the store? What pop action? Tune back into your song, Girl on Fire. Feel it.
I got it. A new marketing campaign. A new marketing campaign.
New marketing campaign. And do you know the first step of the new marketing campaign? What would be that initial, like, what would that look like?
I feel like
to
it looks like energy like that. It sounds like energy like that. It's like, how do you scroll by and go there? Boom, I want to go there.
Steph, imagine you do tune in around this 3 times a day. In 5 days, you've done it 15 times. Imagine the pops of inspiration that you would
Mm.
get. All of a sudden, what is holding you back from economy and this and that, it's almost like, Newport, the other area has millions of people,
Mhm.
right? And so you just need the right people to hear the message in this marketing, right? This energetic marketing campaign to make all the difference. That's what I want you to start focusing on all the time. Energetically, when you said, when I got on, hey, God, your energy, this is what I do. I tune in multiple times a day, 20
I love
times a
it.
day sometimes. So,
And a
Steph,
different challenge for you? Do you always, or just whatever pops in your mind?
no, I have. It's interesting. So I'll have like, oh, I'm going with a client and I really
Hmm.
want to be present. I want to be able to have that download and be able to help them with their business. Boom, I think of one song. I want to go on to my show and I want to impact and bring out your story. It's a different song. I have about 5 songs that
Mm.
I always go to. All right.
Okay.
So now I want you to share, where can people find you? This is the one of the first steps of having, the reach, right? Getting more people to know where they can find you.
Yes. So Instagram, I'm kind of all over, but my personal is Shop Girl Stuff. My store is Shop Common Thread OC, and we didn't even talk about my brand, which is Shop Friday Feelin'. So those are on
Okay.
Instagram.
So okay, again, tell me again, it was shopcommonthreads.oc.
Just Shop Common Thread OC. That's on Instagram at Shop Common Thread OC. Not there's no
Perfect.
S. So just
No.
singular. Shop Common Thread OC, Shop Friday Feelin', and Shop Girl Stuff.
Okay.
Lots of shopping.
Everyone, we will have this in the show notes. I love talking to you. I
That was
think
so
I am
fun.
so excited. You got to keep me posted on your business, on how you're going to be scaling this business. It is so great. And as a last piece of advice for people that you can give them, as you said, you're the pivot queen. What piece of advice would you give somebody hearing this right now if they're feeling stuck in their direction?
Carve out time. Carve out time. Get quiet. And when you have an idea, just start. It doesn't have to be perfect yet. Give yourself space and time and then go.
That is so true. Perfection kills great ideas.
It's never going to be perfect. And it's never
Yeah,
going to all work out. You can't plan for all of it.
totally. Steph, thank you so much for
Thank
being on the
you.
podcast today. And for those listening right now, thank you for being here. Please go give a review. Tell us what you thought about this episode. And again, next week, when we come back, I want you to be ready, set, relaunch. What did you focus on from this specific interview? And again, relaunch into your remarkable. We'll see you next week. If you like this video and want to get more like it, head over here.